Hey, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
We have Mr. Donald Bell. Also, some stuff in the chat. I'll repost it, or if Queen Karen or somebody can repost it for me while I'm doing this, be great. Because when you come in, you don't see what was put in the chat before you got here normally. So, how you doing today, sir?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good, good. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm okay for an old guy.
We all
But
get
where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Los Angeles, California.
Were you always from Los Angeles?
Yep, born and raised.
Oh, okay, okay. Then, what was it like growing up in LA?
It was interesting growing up in LA. When I was a kid, man, it was more community, you know, two-parent households. We played in the street, we had to be in the house before the street light came on, you know, just just a good normal childhood. I grew up in Watts, California, so of course I was around gang culture, but um, fortunately for me, I never really uh, involved myself in that activity. My mama would have killed me anyway. So, but
When I hear the name Watts, first thing come to my mind is my guy Charles Wright,
yeah, I know
110th Street
Charles.
Band. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I know Charles. Yeah,
The last time I saw him was at Leon Haywood's funeral,
yeah,
at, at the funeral and the repast.
right.
Know him as well. Were any of your family members involved in the music?
Yes, my older brother Gerald Bell, which is one of the reasons I started singing. He was a part of a group called Black Ice, early '70s. Well, actually, when they first started, they were called Soul Sonics. Then they changed their name to Black Ice. They was on Capitol Records, a sub-label called TK, which had KC and the Sunshine Band, Anita Ward, uh, and artists like that.
I definitely remember that. 'Cause, I come from retail,
Okay,
so I'm definitely familiar with that.
okay,
You know, when you said the name, it just immediately like the cover almost popped in my head, but I can't describe what I remember seeing.
right. So yeah, that was my early introduction to music, watching my brothers and them sing. And then
What type of accolades have you had throughout your career?
uh, aside from singing with Slave, just producing various artists, going on tour. Um, I was in the movie Norbit with Eddie Murphy,
Okay, that's great.
so that was a
That's
highlight.
classic.
Yeah, yeah. So I've had some great opportunities, man, to do some great things in the music industry. So,
When did you start DJing? I noticed that you said that you DJ.
yeah, well, actually, I've been DJing for a while. I think I started DJing about 20 years ago, just for like family and small functions, and then it kind of took off from there. At the same time, I was still singing Slave, but still DJing on the side. So
Okay.
been awesome thing.
Speaking of slavery, are you doing any live shows now with your, what's the name of your group that you have, that you're
So
working with now?
so I have actually my entertainment company, Brassville Entertainment. We have several bands. We have an R&B band called Phase One, which we do R&B, um, funk, all of that. Then I have a tribute to Earth, Wind, and Fire band called Boogie Wonderland. And so that's what it is. We do a tribute to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Then we also have a band called Smooth Operator, where we do a tribute to Sade. And that's been taken on pretty good. Uh, then I have a vocal group called Next Level. And we do like tribute to the vocal groups of yesteryear, like the Temptations, the Spinners, the OJs. Um, and in addition to all of that, I'm what you call a event manager. So a lot of times they hire me if they have festivals and things of that nature, and they need somebody to oversee those events. So I'm more of, I guess you could call it entertainment director. So I wear a lot of hats.
Okay. Sounds great. When you perform, do you do live band or the other way?
So mainly it's with the band, but sometimes we'll get clients whose budget may not be uh, in our ballpark. And so we will do a track show, but primarily when it's the group Next Level, we'll do track
But
shows. Yeah,
so you do regular band and track days too? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, but only with the vocal group.
Okay.
Only with the vocal. We can't do no track dates with with the other bands. That ain't gonna work. You know, so
I, obviously, being involved with slaves is a huge part of your life and your bio. But do you have any other favorite moments in your career?
uh, I think one of the highlights of my career is my first time out. Well, not the first time out. I would say it was 2005. I did a show with Slave in Concord, California. And on that show was Tina Marie, the Gap Band, featuring Charlie Wilson, Rick, Zap, uh, who else? Lakeside. I mean, just a plethora of all of the artists that I grew up listening to. So that was kind of a highlight for me, one of my first big concerts singing with Slave.
Okay. Also, everybody, I just put his website in the chat again, so you can check it out. The website for people that's on YouTube that can't see the Zoom chat is Donnie, Donnie B
Yes.
music.com.
Okay.
Donnie,
Yes.
Donnie B music.com. So check out everything he's talking about. You'll see a lot of stuff on there. You can sign up for his mailing list, and he has a 800 number that you can call and talk about bookings and different things.
Yes.
What keeps you motivated after all these years?
It's really just the music, man. I grew up in a musical family. Most of my family either sings or plays an instrument. Even my mom, she sung. My dad sung. So it's just really, man, in the DNA. Like I said, growing up watching my big brother and all of them sing. So I just been around music all my life. I grew up in the church, so even in the church, music everywhere. So, and what keeps me motivated, man, is just wanting to come up with something new and something innovative. I've been producing music for a while as well. I have my own studio. Um, so yeah, just the love of music, just wanting to continue to write. And I always tell people, man, writing and producing music is almost it's like a spiritual event, because some of the things that you create, man, you can't put your finger on. So it has to be a higher power that gives you, those nuggets. I'll put it like that.
You say your style has changed over the years,
I'm sorry,
huh?
I didn't hear
Has,
you.
has your style changed over the years?
My writing style, yes. I think when I first started writing, um, I was still learning, learning my way in terms of, uh, just what, I really liked, and my musicianship and all of that kind of thing. Actually, when I initially went to college, I went as a music major with a minor in business. So even though I understood theory, um, I always say that I have a musical palette. So I listen to everything. I listen to pop, rock, country, hip hop, everything. So it gave me a musical palette in terms of being able to write different genres of music. But how my style changed over the years was I stopped trying to uh, mimic what was going on in the musical universe and basically just started writing the stuff that I liked, you know, things that I really wanted to hear, things that I wanted to put together, just not being in a box because I've put out a gospel album as well. My new project that I got coming out now is going to be a mixture of jazz, funk, world music. It's kind of a gumbo of different things. So yeah, I would say that yeah, my motivation is definitely there, uh, but my style is more eclectic. I'll put it that way.
Speaking of styles, which music style do you favor the most over after all these years? Like what really is your thing, so to speak?
Uh, I mean, really all of it. Like definitely, I'm a R&B guy mainly because I'm kind of like in the middle. I'm kind of like old school and new school. Because '90s was my era. You know, and so in terms of what I really like, I like instrumentation. I mean, I could be a beat maker as well, but I'm a instrumentation guy, so I like to hear the horns and the strings and things of that nature. So R&B, pop, uh, some blues, jazz. Yeah, that's kind of my lane.
Speaking of, how does a California guy, born and raised in California, end up even doing funk music or even performing with a funk band? How is that possible?
Well, like I say, I grew up listening to it. Earth, Wind, and Fire was actually one of my favorite bands. Then when Parliament came out, Gap Band, and all, just like I said, I have a musical palette. So I just started liking all those things. And so how I ended up with Slave was I was doing a show at B.B. King's House of Blues out here in Hollywood. And I knew the drummer and the bass player for LTD. And apparently, Drac, Mark Hicks, one of the original members of Slave, was looking for a new lead singer. And so they basically said, hey, Donnie B is available, and need I say, I guess the rest is history. He liked what I was doing, and we made the deal and was with Slave for 24 years. Matter of fact, I was with him up until when Mark and both Marks passed away. Mark Adams and Mark Hicks.
Hmm. That's a whole other history there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now that you have been doing this so long and have had the experience, what would you now, at the stage you're at now, tell your younger self so that you won't make whatever mistakes you may have made coming into the game? Because we all make mistakes somewhere along the line. But what would you tell your younger self and anybody else coming to the music industry? What would be the advice that you would tell them now, looking back at when you started?
Stay on the grind. Stay on the grind. Learn your craft. And definitely, I was fortunate because early in my writing history, not history, but my writing, just put it that way. I had a song that was stole from me, and uh, I didn't know nothing about copyright or anything like that. I was 13, 14 years old. But that situation motivated me to really concentrate on business, even more so than music, uh, which have saved me from a lot of pitfalls. But just to go back and answer your question, I would definitely tell myself, stay on your grind, Don't be distracted. Don't worry about chasing women. They're gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Don't worry about that. Uh, and learn everything you can. And one thing that's important in the music businesses is uh, make sure that you foster relationships. That's important because I've gotten many opportunities just based on who I knew. You know, don't burn your bridges. So that's probably what I would say.
Well, don't feel bad about getting a song stolen. I had a song stolen by P. Diddy and Nelly back in the early 2000s. So don't, it happens.
It happens, you know.
And sometimes you can't do anything about it. Sometimes you might can do something about it.
Yeah, sometimes you can't. But I mean, when it happened to me, I was young. I didn't know a lot about the music business. So I'm glad it happened when I was young because it motivated me to focus. Because it's called the music business for a reason. Music,
Right.
music business. That means there's an emphasis on both. But I would say, if you want to be famous and not rich, then just concentrate on the music. If you want to be rich and not so much famous, then you're going to concentrate on the business.
I hear you. It's the music business, not
Absolutely.
just the music industry, but the music business. It's all business.
It's
When it's all said and done,
right, exactly.
what do you want to be remembered for?
Being my authentic self, putting out good music, because everybody is not going to like what you do, you know, and that's just a given. But I definitely want to be known for one of the guys who is definitely his authentic self, who put his heart and soul into everything that he did. It was just an all-around good person, you know, who really tried to help people and do the right thing. That's what I would like to do.
You mentioned about that you were doing that you've done gospel.
Yes.
A lot of people that do gospel, they don't want to mix nothing. How do you feel about that you can do gospel and do R&B and do jazz or whatever?
Well, it all belongs to the Father anyway. And I grew up in a very traditional religious setting where initially that was one of the things. Hey, you can't do this and do that. But as you start growing spiritually, not religious, but as you start growing spiritually, you start realizing that it's not really. Now, let me back up. I do believe music um, has a purpose, and that purpose can be swayed negatively or positively, right? Depending on what you're putting out there. But
Yeah,
but I feel, that you can do it all. I feel that, me personally, I don't like to be put in a box because I'm a spiritual person, but I'm also a human being. I want to write about my relationship with God. I want to write about my relationship with my wife or girlfriend. At the time, I want to write about what's going on in the world. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be put
right.
in a box. And those individuals you know, who feel that that's the way they have to move, and I have no judgment for them, but I had to pray and ask God to help me to understand, this thing. And so I'm cool with it.
One thing about gospel, some of our most famous and strong vocalists, started off in gospel.
Yeah,
Everybody, like I said, they grow up with the family, go to church on the weekend, do different
yeah,
things.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly.
Have you, have, other than the artists that you deal with that's on your website and the different things you do with the groups you have, are there any new artists that you like that you hear or see on the radio or see perform that you like? Wow, I like to co-write with this person. Or I like to work with this individual. And the new people out here
Um,
now.
I like this guy October London. I like what he's doing. Um,
Okay.
I like the artist SZA. I like what she's doing.
Okay.
I did a couple shows with Raheem Devine, people like that. I really like what they're doing. So there's a few artists out there that I really like, what they're doing in terms of keeping R&B at the forefront.
Even though I know that you unique and different, but if you had to tell somebody that vocally I sound like so and so, or musically I sound like so and so, who would that person be?
Well, early on in my career, a lot of people said I sound like Donny Hathaway. Um, I don't know. I didn't see it, but depending on what the song is, he was one of my main influences in terms of male vocalists. Donny Hathaway, Stevie Wonder, uh, Earth, Wind, and Fire, Charlie Wilson, people like that. Some of my earlier influences, Aretha Franklin. So, um, in terms of my music, they would probably say I'm on the line of a Babyface or Keith Sweat, somewhere in that realm.
Yep. Donny Hathaway, my fraternity brother, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Okay.
And we had the honor to interview his daughter too, Layla Hathaway. It was a great interview.
Yeah,
Great family.
yeah.
Great
Layla is
family.
awesome. I had the opportunity to hire Layla a few years ago when I was over the Black Arts and Music Festival here in Los Angeles, and she was just a wonderful talent, and not just that, just a wonderful person as well. So yeah,
Definitely.
yeah.
Matter of fact, when we interviewed her, she had to go do after we finished the interview, she had to go do something with Donnie Simpson. Had some new show he was doing.
Okay.
Donnie that formerly with BET, Donnie Simpson from
Right, right,
Detroit,
right.
and and she went and did I guess a little quick interview with him, and she came back and hung out with us for the rest of the night. I was like, wow. She
Wow.
said that was the first time she had done something like what we're doing now. She said that's the first time she had done that. She
Okay.
really enjoyed it, came back and, was liking the people like Queen Karen was there and DJ Punch. And she just enjoyed everybody being there. She said it was,
Awesome.
she felt real comfortable,
That's awesome.
like dealing with family.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
I really enjoyed Layla Hathaway. She's a great talent.
who are some of your favorite artists other than like Donny Hathaway? Like if you had to name like, your top 5 artists of all time or whatever.
Uh, are you talking about bands, groups,
We
or
can do it. We can do it separately. We can say your top 5 bands and your top 5 individuals.
okay? So that's easy. My top 5 bands at number one is Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay.
Um, and then the rest can be in there any kind of way. So then we got the Gap Band. Uh, we have Cameo, uh, Parliament, and so who else? Oh man, it's another. I can't think of their name. I can't think of the last one. Those are the ones that.
Speaking of Cameo, man, it's like I can never get out my mind watching that movie and them playing Candy at the end and everybody dancing to it.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
It's like that was that was, to me, that just was a feel good thing. So
Right,
when you get
right.
a song like that to get into a movie that people can really vibe to, that I'm still thinking about, 20, 30 years later, that's amazing to have
Yeah,
something like that. You
yeah.
know,
Well, a good song have legs, man. I
yeah.
worked for Warner Music Group for about 7 years because in addition to all of this, my background is in accounting. When I went to college again, I got my degrees in accounting and business, and so I worked for a lot of the major entertainment companies like Warner, Fox, MGM, on and on. And I can tell you, man, licensing is where it's at.
Okay, you mentioned the bands. How about the individual vocalists, male and female?
Um, so for me, Stevie Wonder, for sure. Um, Aretha Franklin, and I like a lot of the old school artists. Um, I like New Edition, like them a lot. The Jackson Five, definitely Jackson Five. What else?
What do you think about groups like the Temptations? Or do you go that far back in your
So
thoughts?
I like the Temptations. And the thing is that when I was young, that was the group that my brother member did, you know. And so as I got older, when I started my group Next Level, we actually did tributes to the Temptations. So I have a lot of videos out there of us doing tributes to the Temptations. But the Temptations, even though they were a great group, it wasn't like one of the groups that really inspired me. I mean, I definitely liked David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks and everything that they did at Motown. Uh, but you know, if you're talking about this individuality, you know, I was listening to Stevie, Marvin. And, it's just so many artists that I like. So it's really hard to just, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm so glad I had a chance to meet David Ruffin. He came to my store a couple times when he was a solo artist,
Okay.
and I had a photo of him pointing, with his arm around me and pointing to my name on my jacket that I don't have from water and fire damage. But that was like amazing. He came by like twice, and I didn't even realize until I saw the movie that I guess the guy that was with him was the
Wow.
guy that drive the Rolls Royce or whatever. Because he
Right.
was with the guy. I don't remember his name or anything, but
Uh,
he was with that particular guy. Then I end up meeting his son around 2003, 2004 in LA. Um, David Ruffin Jr.
right.
He actually went to college. He was college roommates with a guy that I know from
Mhm.
North Carolina. And then I ended up meeting his wife, which was David Ruffin Jr.'s mother down in, I think it was I think it's called Deerfield, Florida.
Okay.
Had lunch with her, so and got an autographed book from her that that was talking about her life and David and a lot of the stuff that's going on. But
Right.
speaking of David and different things like you hear about the Tammy Terrell thing, you saw it in the movie. I was reading something that they said James Brown was hitting upside the head before that David Ruffin. I don't know if that's like some AI stuff or
No,
what, but it's
that,
just a shame it has to happen.
no, I mean I've heard the same thing, and you know, in the music business, you know, I forgot what's the term, 3 degrees of separation. So you're gonna know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I mean I've heard the same thing. You know, I just think that if whatever happened, it was just a tragedy. You know that this very talented, beautiful young lady had to lose her life. You know,
Yeah, I hear you. When we interviewed Lamont Patterson, that he
yeah,
mentioned that Tina Turner gave him his first fur coat. So
okay,
we had people wanting to troll him about that.
okay.
Tina wanted something to give you that fur coat.
Yeah,
That's what one of
LP,
the guys was saying on the call.
that's my buddy right there. LP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did anybody else have any questions? Anyone have any questions? Or you just soaked everything up and you're good?
Yeah, I got a question.
Go right ahead.
Hey, how you doing? Glad you were able to join us tonight.
Oh, great, great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. My question was really kind of like a question and a comment, but as far as like what we talked about too, as far as like some of the things that you've experienced, what is your studio process like? As far as what you would like to talk about and reveal, as far as you being able to produce, sing, and make some of the greatest songs ever, really. So I definitely would love to hear that.
So my process is pretty simple. Whereas some people write lyrics first, I actually write the music first. So I write the music first. If I got a slam and beat, then the music kind of directs me what to write about, where to go. You know what I mean? So, and then sometimes I can be somewhere just, you know, chopping it up with people, and I might hear a phrase, and I'll be like, oh, that'd be a good song, you know, and I'll just come on and write it. But for me, it's definitely the music first, you know, coming up. with a slamming beat, and then I just go from there. You know, that's kind of my process. Yeah.
Definitely appreciate that, and glad you were able to come on. Hopefully, I can get you on my show on Monday nights. We do Mixaholic Mondays.
Yeah, just let me know. I would love to come on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kermit.
One thing about the way you described that is that sounds very common for hip hop because like I'm 52 years in the game, and to me it was like somebody laid down a track, and then people decided what words they're gonna put on top of it, what they're gonna rap on top of it. So that makes plenty of sense. But I guess maybe with R&B, maybe people do it a different way normally or something.
Well, let me clear something up. So there's really a difference between being a beat maker and actually producing music, right? So if you're a beat maker, and I'm not knocking beat maker by no means, so don't come after me. I'm not knocking it. So when you put together beat, most beat makers have good ears because they know what they want to hear. But when you actually produce a track that has instrumentation, then you have to understand chord structure, theory, arrangements, things of that nature. And if you notice, most beat makers, what do? They go back to old school, grab something that's kind of already, already done, and then implement it into what they're doing. Me, I like creating the whole thing from scratch. That's just me.
You saying that brings up something very interesting. Like I notice most artists today, 2025, they do a couple of things. One, they go get a YouTube beat, which
Right.
I think is a horrible situation.
Right.
They, like the, and they say, well, you got the YouTube beat, and then they say that they purchased the beat. I'm not a fan of either one of those. I don't even like to promote that because I figure it's not really going to go nowhere. But I do work with a guy that people send him like a YouTube beat, and he'll make something comparable that they probably like. I even had one young lady that had a song. I was like, "Oh my God, this sounds like a gold or platinum record." I was really excited, and she said, "Oh yeah, I own the beat. I bought it." I'm like, "Oh." So we went into details. Said, "Well, how much is it?" Well, I paid. I think it was $55 for it. She paid $55 for this track. I'm like, "Okay, let me just ask you this." I say, "So what does the guy want other than $55?" Oh, he wants producer credit. I say, "Okay, well here's what I don't understand with me being in the business this long. You mean to tell me that if you own the red carpet at the Grammys, your record went gold or platinum, all he want out that whole deal is the $55, and you shouting out that he produced a record?" I'm like, I don't think that's gonna work. That doesn't sound like it's gonna work to me.
And then think about this. If you and I'm like I said, I'm not knocking nobody's hustle at all. But if you're selling a beat on the web, now let's say 20 people buy that same beat, right? So there's no authenticity there. You might have a different flow per each one, but it's the same beat.
We had that happen already. We
Yeah.
interviewed a young lady that said that she bought the exclusive beat, and then one of our co-hosts, Lex Luger out of Mississippi, had he does a lot of touring, and he already had two artists that performed that exact same song and beat, and it had a young lady singing on there too. It had it was a track and a young lady singing, and then the person that would buy the beat, lease the beat or whatever, they would put their vocals on top of what was there.
Mm.
When I heard that he knew two people, and he said he think he heard a third one, and then this girl that we interviewed thought that she had the exclusive right, I got so mad. I checked into it, and I found out that the guy that sold her the beat is in the UK. So what you gonna do about that? You gonna go overseas and slap upside the head? So that was it. The only thing that kind of positive happened out of it is we came across the girl that was singing on the track, and if she did want to do, and she agreed that she had no problem, being okay for her voice to be on there or whatever. But I don't even know what happened. I was just so disappointed with the whole situation when I found out how bad they had did this young lady. That she thought she actually had this song, and it was a great song.
Yeah.
And like I said, like you said, I was out here on the internet, and a bunch of people had the exact same song. You know, I
Right.
don't like stuff like that. I'm like, I prefer original beats. Get with the producer. If if you write lyrics, okay, you write the lyrics, they write the music. You
Right.
know, they own the music, you own the lyrics, you own it together, share everything, and keep
Yeah.
moving.
It's a
Not just that you can just, not that you're gonna own everything, and you end up not owning a damn thing.
Right, exactly. And let me tell you, my approach when it comes to especially like producing younger artists, what I like to do is I like to bring that old school flavor and then merge it with some new school flavor. And that's when you really get something different, you know. I mean, think about in the 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s, when you heard Al Green, you knew it was Al Green. When you heard Earth, Wind, and Fire, it was no denying who the artist was, right? Everybody was different, you know, but you don't have that anymore. You know, you could put one beat on and 10 different artists can rap to that same beat.
What do you feel about Bruno Mars?
I like Bruno Mars. I like Bruno Mars. I like anybody who thinks outside the box, you know, and brings the creativity and vision to what they're doing, you know. Even if he did pull a little bit from here, you know what I'm saying? You know, he came up with something good. You know, so
Well, I'm gonna tell you why I asked you about him. I
yeah.
was talking to older artist one day, this 68,
Uh,
and we were talking about music or whatever, and I was trying to explain to him that from my perspective, I do market promotion and stuff. I was
right.
like, the industry or the people, the fans or whatever, they don't mind a young Bruno Mars doing, like, say, even a funk song. Like, he could redo the song I played before the show.
Mhm.
Watching you. He could
Right.
do that and it go crazy again, but they don't want to see the older person or the original person doing it.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's just that kind of thing. So he was saying, well, I just get a young guy in my group standing out front. I say, yeah, but you still got a bunch of old guys standing behind him.
Right.
So I look at it from the standpoint of what the industry is doing or what young people are doing, or when I used to check out the figures, I found out like this back like in maybe over 15 years ago. But when I did my research, I found out that the biggest purchaser of music was white females from like 8 to 15 or something like that.
Right.
And then even all kind of music, and that people were surprised that that we weren't talking about them buying rock music or pop or whatever. We were talking about any kind of music at the
Right.
time.
Right.
That's was the number one purchaser. So my thing is that, and I tell people, don't do your music thinking that you're going to a specific crowd. Whatever you do, just do you,
Do
and
you?
we'll find who likes what you're doing.
Right.
Don't try to copy off of this person or copy off that person. Just do you, hire some good people to promote you, and we will find your clientele.
Yeah. Everybody has an itch, and that goes back to what I said earlier when I said that like my style has changed because I write and I produce what I like, you know, and I feel like if I like it, there might be maybe 3 or 4 million people out there that might like it too. Everybody's not gonna like what you do. That's the
Right.
first thing you gotta remember. You can't worry about that, but you have to worry about the one who your audience is, you know.
Just to give an example, like when we look at the Jacksons movie, right?
Right.
And we see Michael backstage looking at people, what their steps and all of that. And just like he made the moonwalk famous, and tore the house down at the 25th anniversary of Motown doing the
Yeah.
moonwalk.
Right.
But that came from uh, the guy from Shalimar.
Exactly. Exactly. Jeffrey.
So that's an example of kind of what I'm talking about Bruno Mars.
Yeah.
It's like when what's the name from Shalimar was doing it. Okay,
Right.
he was on Soul Train doing it or doing it on TV or whatever, but it was like just a casual thing. Whereas Michael emphasized it,
Right.
throwing the hat, stepping back, doing this, doing that. He puts a twist on it, and being somebody that's, more visible. So he
Right.
made the whole thing more visible. But most things, like I was watching a YouTube short earlier today where they were talking about Elvis Presley. And
Right.
they'll say, and the young lady say, Elvis Presley didn't create rock. He
No.
didn't create rock, and he credits, African American performers or whatever for even his style, things that he did, and a whole lot of people, and the people that appreciate black artists the most, I've noticed traditionally was people over in the UK.
Yeah.
I've heard Mick Jagger and those guys give credit. The Beatles give credit, to certain people before them, like maybe Little Richard or somebody, but the people in America don't do that same thing.
Well, and you know why? Because the thing about the UK as opposed to America, America is built on separation, separation of church and state, separation of the races, and separation of music. You know, yeah, pop over here, R&B over here, rock over here, and this is how they promote music. But in the UK, they put it all in one pot, and whatever you like, that's what you get. You know, and that's the difference. That's why over there they appreciate it more. Or some artists can go over there in the UK and work and make hits, and you probably never even heard of them here. I'm gonna give you an example. Terrence Trent D'Arby. He was from America. He didn't make it until he went to the UK. You know?
I hear you. I tell you something else too. Coming back, from me being around when hip hop started in '73, supposedly. Even though we know a lot of people was doing rap way before then. I think they're talking about rap in the '20s and '30s or whatever. But
Right.
anyway, so back to just what we know is hip hop out of originate like out of New York or whatever. I noticed that when groups say like Public Enemy, maybe got less popular when NWA or different ones come out of different people from different parts of the country,
Mhm.
those groups still was going on tour in the UK
Yeah.
like it never stopped. And that's what people don't realize. It's not about how big you can be in your backyard, how big you can be in your apartment building, or your street, or your neighborhood, or your city. It's like who can be big in the entire world.
Yeah.
And even if nobody likes you in the United States at all, you can still go to other countries and stuff if they play in your music or you promote yourself and still make a living dealing with that. And if nobody in the United States even know you exist, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Sometimes you're more appreciated when you step outside of your comfort zone.
Or sometimes just even like, write a song for somebody in another country
Yeah.
or produce a record. I know, DJ Punch had put in the chat earlier about when we're talking about the songs and the YouTube beats and all that, he put in there about the split sheets, how important that is.
Oh,
And
that's
then,
that's very important.
you
Yeah.
know, he
The
put he put that in the chat about the split sheets and the fact
yeah,
that he say when you getting these YouTube beats and all that, there's no exclusive rights. That's what you were
right,
talking. That's what we were talking about. That
right,
like 20 people might have the same song,
right. And a
and the
lot
guy
of
called it
people,
exclusive. The only thing exclusive is the exclusive price he charged you for it
right.
versus somebody else paying just to use it. I had a situation with a young man where he had a track, and this was an artist I worked with. I was like, oh man, that's great. And I said, who's the girl on there? Oh, that's the guy that I got the beat from did that. So I checked into it, and the guy said that he did sell him the track and all of that, but he sold it to him just to do a demo. He never knew that I was going to take the record and take it to Universal Music Group. So
Right.
that was a whole different ball game. Is that the young man just looked at, and plus a lot of time when they sell these tracks, it's like, okay, I'm gonna sell it to you for X number of dollars, and anything under 100,000 sales or 100,000 streams, I don't want anything for it. But when they get to a certain point, I'm getting a piece or whatever. I've seen almost everything in that, but it's just interesting how people, like the fact the guy didn't look into the agreement, the fact that the guy saying he's giving it to him, just to like to perform, do local shows,
Right.
regional shows or whatever, but not going to, Universal Music Group. That wasn't a part of the game.
Right.
That's
Right.
a shame that he had to go redo it. I still like the original song with the girl singing on there, but one of the producers I worked with, he redid it. He redid the instrumental form, and most of the DJs, like DJ Punch and them, they like the new version that the DJ did. But for some reason, I still like the original one I heard with the girl singing on there. It
Okay.
just it just felt different to me. But all that matters is what the DJs like and what they're going to play, because they're the ones that are going to break your music. And a lot of people don't understand that DJs are the ones that still break records. It's not necessarily radio, because you could take a record and somebody could be playing in the club, as you know, from a DJ, somebody else hear it. You know,
Yeah.
matter of fact, I can give you a perfect example. Hall and Oates, Sarah Smile. You've heard that song?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, back in the 75,
Mhm.
one of the guys I was working with named Mike Gage, he worked at WABQ. He eventually worked at WABQ in Cleveland. But anyway, the guy that got me into the music industry, his name is Jim Stevens, spelled Stephens, Jim Scorpio Stevens. And so Mike Gage brought the album in of that Sarah Smile is on. So we played it and played Sarah Smile, and it was like a teen dance. And them teenagers went crazy with this record. I'm like, wow. I'm like, it was like two, weird looking guys on the cover, for what we used to seeing. They look kind of odd, so it's almost like seeing one of these, groups overseas or something, one of these kind of groups that got the crazy hats on their head or something. But it was like, this looked weird in our hood, but it went off. So I end up, so Jim took the record to the station, WABQ, and started banging it. We, like I said, we broke it in the club, and he took it to the station. But the station called Wixie, WXY 1260, ended up getting credit for it. Now, to show you how I am, I did a post on Instagram, and I tagged Daryl Hall in it because he's still alive. I tagged him into it. I tagged the record label and everything, and told them that I broke the record, and that that they took it to WABQ. Put everything in there. About WABQ and all that. And I said to myself, now if they don't like what I'm saying, somebody's gonna have the post taken down, or talk about me, or try to lawsuit. Ain't nobody said a word.
Right.
Just accept it and move on.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions tonight? We're at the 10 o'clock hour on the East Coast, 7 o'clock on the West Coast. If no one has any questions, I'm going to let him go, but I'm going to remind you what's in the chat, which is his email address, which I'm gonna go over all of that with you right now.
Okay.
His Instagram is Instagram Donnie DONNIE B 2323.
Yeah.
So DONNIE B as in boy, Donnie B 2323. That's the Instagram.
Yeah. And that's also Facebook too. Facebook too as well.
Okay. Then we got his email address is Don DONN and two N's DONN Bell BELL at Yahoo. DONN Bell BELL at Yahoo.
And then I'm gonna put in my my company email too. That's a good. It's info. I'll put it in the chat here. Info.
Okay. And I'll read it when you finish. And the website is Donnie DONNIE DonnieBmusic.com.
Right.
DONNIE B DonnieBmusic.com.
Right.
And let me see what the business email is. And the business email is info at brass BRASS Bell ENT info info at brass BRASS Bell BELLENT.com.
Okay.
Info at brassbellent.com.
Yes.
Okay. Appreciate you coming tonight, and we'll hope to see you again. DJ Punch has already showed interest. He'd like to get you on one of these Mondays, so we'll talk about that at a future time.
Sounds good.
And thank you for your time. Now, tell Lamar how much of a great interview this was.
Thank you.
And everybody else. And, it'll be on YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Okay.
And
Kermit, thank you, man, for having me on your show. I really appreciate it. DJ Punch, I'm looking forward to being on your show. And thanks to all your panelists. I appreciate everybody who chimed in.
Speaking of that, let me introduce some of the people that are still on here now. Okay. Let me go back to what I said. Okay, we got Queen Karen G out of Washington, D.C. Hey, she's a year older than me, so I got to be nice to her. Okay. You got to respect your elders. Right. Of course, we got DJ Punch.
How you doing, Queen? DJ Punch.
He's from Indianapolis, Indiana.
All right.
Yep, look forward to it.
Then we got Make Your Ear Hot Entertainment. That's Darrell P. from Make Your Ear Hot. They're a recording studio.
Darrell.
And management company and a publishing company out of Chicago. DJ Punch is a DJ, and he say he a producer, but I think he's more like a beat maker, what you're talking about earlier. But Who knows?
I'm a little
I
bit
don't
of
know
both.
everything.
I'm a little bit of both.
And then we got Zski Alize.
Okay.
Say them on the calls before. I don't know exactly where they're from. We got Brent Barlow, who John Wilson from Sly Slick and the Wicked introduced him to the call.
All right.
Brent's been on here. He's out in Los Angeles.
All right.
But maybe y'all can eventually meet one day.
I think he knows a few of my friends.
Yep. And then we have artist BBY, who's a young lady that came out of nowhere.
Okay.
She was in LA for a while, and then in LA, Atlanta, North Carolina. She had a record out called Pack Me Up that took the world by storm.
Awesome.
And was #1 for 4 weeks. And did the radio track. The only song that was #1 longer than that was Warren G and Ty Dolla $ign song that was #1 for 5 weeks. So she came out of nowhere with that. So salute to her. And she's out of, like I said, she's out of North Carolina, Atlanta, and she's familiar with LA as well.
All right.
And that's who's left in here now. So other people have come in and left out and all of that. But appreciate everybody for being here. Right. And we'll be doing our next show will be 2 weeks from tonight, which that means since tonight is the 15th, that means you add 14 days and it'll be Tuesday, July 29th is our next show. And don't forget, this Thursday, we got Throwdown Thursday. This Thursday, 8 o'clock Eastern. So it's the same Linktree /ECMD, the number 2. Linktree /ECMD, the number 2. And Throwdown Thursday this week. And then every single Monday, we have Mixaholic Monday. It's uncensored. So when you go on there, you can expect to hear and say anything, especially with Punch having his Uncle Paul on there. And don't tell him what he might say on a Monday night. Even though Paul is from the funk genre himself, he's like the king of funk out of Indianapolis, by the way, Funky Skunk.
That's not true. And, we're professional over there. Don't let Kermit say that. We're professionals on Monday night.
Okay.
Yeah. Professional clowns.
Wow.
Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, guys. You guys take care.
All right.
Appreciate
Thanks, everybody, for coming in today, checking it out. And you'll be getting a chance to watch it again on YouTube very shortly.